Hero Club presents Los Ingobernables de Tokusatsu.
So I think Project is gonna die. So anyway, welcome to Los Ingobernables de Tokusatsu, everybody. I'm your host, Janitor Joker, and with me as always is Wheels. How's it going, Wheels? And how's the death of Project going to affect your life now?
I don't know, like, the fact that, like, we just seen him on, the Skype video feed, talking to us in the middle of the night, walking down the street, and the fact that we don't know if, like, Mothman, or Grongi, or whatever is just gonna jump out and get him, could be the thing. Like, he said he was gonna get to the episode recording, because he literally forgot we were recording last night, and thought it was tonight, which, ironically, it just kind of works all out in our favor now. But anyways, he says he's going to be here shortly. Like, he said 3 to 10 minutes. I don't know what that means, but that means shawarma could be a possibility, McNuggets could be a possibility, and the appearance of him walking the dog. So
the possibilities are endless.
They truly are. It's just like, how is Miles Morales not gonna die?
I mean, he is, but
he's going to. Yeah, and see, Mucha didn't even bring up the joke first. I did. See? Plot twist. Plot twist. He gives the intro, I make the joke. Dun dun dun. So, yeah. Today on the lit list, as you may say, we have one interesting piece of news, such as, well, we have some guests appearing at Japan World Heroes that were just kind of announced over the last couple of days. On top of that, we have us wanting to sort of just briefly discuss our thoughts on the Mr. Rogers stream for Twitch and PBS. Like we actually were interested in that. We've made references to it on, like, the last 2 episodes, that we were watching the stream and enjoying it because we grew up watching PBS, we grew up watching Mr. Rogers, and we were just having fun seeing what the chat thought, for those who've never seen Rogers before or the earlier seasons, and, like, them just saying the most ludicrous shit in the chat. So we're going to talk about that, just a brief, maybe 10-20 minute discussion on just everything that went on. And then we're going to go to our main discussion that was created by Project, who is fighting for his life right now. In the zombie apocalypse or the Grongi apocalypse. Whatever, I don't know.
If you listen closely, I'm sure you can hear him screaming.
Yeah, so what we're talking about is one of our favorite Rider villains. Each of us will be talking about that. As well as we were also going to bring up one of the worst ideas, like, villains have in Tokusatsu. Like, it doesn't matter that it's not Rider. It's just, we're going to talk about a villain from Rider, and then we're going to talk about bad ideas that villains have had. Because there are so many out there that it's just redunculous.
So we're kind of, like, bringing that down to, like, we each talk about, like, one villain idea that we just didn't really care for, right?
Yeah, pretty much just one villain idea that we just didn't really care for. We're probably gonna have to remind Project when he gets into the call, because that's a Project for us. But yeah,
I think he might pick the villain that didn't kill him.
Probably he's gonna pick the villain that he didn't kill or didn't kill him. It really all depends. But yeah, I think we should probably first talk about the 2 guests that were announced for Japan World Heroes. That new convention being held by Scott Zillner, the guy who runs Paramorphicon. He actually got some interesting guests. Like, well, Mucha, why don't you tell us the first one, because I keep fucking up his name.
Man. The Ren Kuriyama, aka the left half of Kamen Rider W, aka Kamen Rider Joker,
aka fucking half-boiled Shotaro.
I mean, yes.
So, yeah, like, that was the first announcement, because, like, holy crap, that's actually a big name, but also, my only flaw or con towards that is, like, it's kind of casual bait, because almost every Toku fan I know all came in from Decade/Double, so it's like, oh, great, that's gonna just make more bang for your buck, which is a good idea to get money if you're running the con, but it's like, damn, that guy's gonna get more traffic than Gal Red is, and I'm like...
Oh, Gal Red, aka the veterinarian for Mechagodzilla.
Yeah, Mechagodzilla's veterinarian. Like, that's the thing. Like, that's one of the things I sometimes do hate, though, about cons in general, when it's, like, themed cons, where, like, you get a certain actor or whatever, and they're the life of the show, and then, like, some people kind of don't give a rat's ass about the other people of the show. Like, you can't find that perfect medium of, I'm just gonna get these teams from these casts and shows, where it's all equally respected. Nah, I'm gonna, like, try to gauge the system. Like, it's great to have him, but I just see so many of the pros and cons as a fan of all Toku, as well as kind of a guy who kind of just doesn't like Kamen Rider Double. And then
Oh,
the next
no.
and then the next guest actually was like a real huge curveball for some people because the shadowed out photo showed that it was obviously two senshis and an unknown person, which made people believe, oh, it's Gokai Red or some other character. At first, we all thought it was three different characters, only to discover it was actually Hirofumi Fuzukawa, who is actually one of the stunt actors for Toei, who's been Gokai Red, as well as Shinken Red, and I think he was also Kamen Rider Axel, because that's the photos that Zillner posted up on his Facebook page. And allegedly, he was possibly, I think, Iris in Gamera 3. I'm thinking, like, I'm looking up his filmography. I think he was Iris. You know, that
Damn.
crazy mutated Gauss that everyone loves.
Thing that got like knocked the fuck out by Gamera.
He got rope-a-doped.
Yeah, he got knocked out.
Yeah, so it's like these announcements are pretty big. Like, the one thing I kind of gotta say, like, when you get suit actors, it's kind of a weird thing because, like, people sometimes don't have attachments to suit actors. I think I'm, like, one of 8 people that I know that actually has an attachment to suit actors. Like, what is it, Takawa or whatever, the guy who is the current, like, main,
Seiji.
yeah,
Seiji Takaiwa.
Takaiwa. Like, I'm a fan of his work because he's been, like, almost every main writer. I like Jiro, who was Kamen Rider Black, and he's been like a lot of villains in Sixth Senshi. Like, those guys are great suit actors. But then it's like, when you start kind of sometimes flip-flopping between, like, Red Senshis or other Senshis, it's hard to, in a sense, gauge their, I would say, filmography, because some of those Senshis don't get a lot of focus on screen. So, like, if you're a Red Senshi, you're already made for life because you got some of the best scenes, some of the best action and stuff, so you don't have to worry. Fans are just going to probably be able to gravitate to you immediately. So that's one thing. The fact that he also has done kaiju is another added plus for him, just because there are so many people who love Godzilla and Gamera. Hell, if you even do Ultraman, bam, you got more bang for
He
your
was a
buck.
sub for Ultraman Gaia, so there's that.
You know what that means? Yeah! Sure!
Excellent.
Oh man, I would be so pissed if like Japan World Hero like was like about to be like, oh yeah, and announcing Hideo Ishiguro, and I'd be like, well, fuck me. like it's
me.
I'm like, well, it's nice knowing you guys. Like, I gotta go sell everything in my house to go meet Orbu. Orbu. Or if they were like, oh yeah,
I might bring this guy back up just for other reasons.
Foreshadowing. And another thing was, like, I would love to be there to, like if they were like, oh yeah, we also got V6. Sing your Inuyasha songs, as well as Take Me Higher. We got V6. Take me higher. Yo, my favorite was the one time, speaking of something we were talking about before we shot the show, my friend Zeltrax Millennium, I once blew his mind when I explained to him that Daigo in Tiga is one of the 6 members of V6, and that they sung the opening for Ultraman. He didn't realize that they were the same guys who sung the Ultraman Tiga opening, as well as are the guys who did like two or three of the Inuyasha songs. So he was like, wait, what? I was like, yeah, mind fuck. And then I kind of, like, just wish I had the Yu-Gi-Oh GIF on me to send it to him. But that was like the thing. So I like they have other actors already announced. I think they have, what is it, director and writer Reitai Kiriyama, who did Jetman and Garo.
Mm-hmm.
They also have Katamiya. That's what I meant to say. I always screw up his last name. They also have artist Matt Frank, Gal Red, and I think they also have Ben Fururaya, the actual suit actor for Ultraman, right?
Okay.
I could be wrong. I'm bad with names sometimes. Like I respect their work, and I'm like, oh, I know this guy, but you tell me to actually pronounce a name, and it's like asking me to like commit Sudoku. I mean, seppuku, same thing for us. Sudoku, seppuku, same thing. Play of words, as we made the joke once before, where it all came from.
Yes.
But it's gonna be an interesting thing. Yeah, Ben Furuya. Yeah, I was right. And probably it's best that we probably talk about, like we said, that Rogers discussion before,
Yeah.
Project gets here. But watch him show up while we're there. So,
Yeah. He's just all confused as we're talking about how Joey's an arms dealer.
Yeah, this is the weird thing. The Mr. Rogers stream was like 18 days, and every season, the only episodes that were missing were, I think, the conflict episodes were the only ones that were taken out of there, because from what we learned was that the masters were destroyed. Like, there's no remains of the original master copies.
I think Metal
out
told
there.
us something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
That the masters were destroyed.
So the conflict episodes, which were some of the episodes a lot of people really wanted to see.
I was excited.
Yeah, I was super excited because I saw some of like the episodes and clips from YouTube, and I was just hyped to see this most ludicrous storyline. And it's a storyline that occurred, I think, in season 14, where it ironically came out around the time like CBS or ABC released like The End of the World or whatever it was called, that like TV night, like that 3-night TV movie event where it was literally like the apocalypse happening and wars breaking out. And so like Fred wrote like a storyline that was supposed to come out like not around the same time, but also talk about like, you know, like an allegory to the Cold War and how like violence doesn't solve anything. And like they just came on the same freaking week, and it's about King Friday misunderstanding that they were ordering parts for machines to build a bridge, and he thought that they were building bombs because Prince Tuesday put it into his mind about how bombs and weapons work and wars occur. That he thought maybe we should go bomb another neighborhood just because that was a thing in the neighborhood of make-believe segments. So before that all started, like I think I was watching it within the first day the stream had started. And Mucha, I got you involved around season
I want to see either 2 or 3.
2 and 3, because we were already in color when you joined me.
No, I was still black and white.
Oh shit, we were still in season 1 then.
Damn.
We were still in season 1, because don't forget the early seasons had over 100 episodes per the season.
Yeah.
Like the first 6 or 7 seasons, or no, it was like the first 4 seasons or something, were like 165 episodes. And season 1 was the only season to ever be recorded all in the same year.
Damn. That's impressive.
And when I showed up on the stream, and then Mucha came in quite later, I showed up right when Corny's factory fire had occurred. Now, this is a fire that for me and Mucha, we always heard growing up watching PBS, but we never knew how soon it had occurred in the franchise. So seeing that on screen was probably one of the most hilarious things, that it took place all the way back in season freaking 1. Like,
it shows the strong continuity that the Rogers show had.
Yeah, and the one thing we loved was the way that the chat responded to the fires, and then when Joey Hollinsworth reappeared on the scene as this dancing salesman that helps Corny sell his rockets.
No, that motherfucker was an arms dealer.
Yeah, everyone
Everyone
literally believed he was an arms dealer, because when he showed the spreadsheet for how many rocking chairs he had sold and what countries, they were all like high deal end players of the Cold War, or people who now have nuclear arms in the modern day. And with the fact that Corny called his chairs rockets, the chat was just having a field day with that storyline, because throughout the series, Corny just refers to the rocking chairs as freaking rockets.
Yeah.
And it was just the most ludicrous thing. And like, it was just so funny, you know, with the chat always thinking that someone, like, a lot of people actually thought that Fred was going to do a Cold War storyline based on the misconception of the rocking chairs as actual authentic weapons. Like, that was what a lot of the people in the chat thought before they actually knew what conflict was even about. They just knew a war happens in the neighborhood of make-believe, so they all assumed it was Corny's damn fault. Which it technically still was his fault.
It was. I mean,
just not
denying that fact.
Just not the way they thought it was. It was more the King's paranoia.
Yeah.
And then the one
King
thing.
King Friday's perfect though. King Friday is.
Oh yeah, he's perfect because like he turns out from being like an egotistical bastard to just a delusional like a guy with Alzheimer's at times, because he doesn't know what the hell he wants. He's just like, well, you know, I am always right. Oh, this would make a great idea. It's glad I thought of it. And you just sit there And like the allegories people were making to like Biden, Trump, and all these like world leaders was just ridiculous. They're like, well, I can see where these world leaders got their ideology from.
I mean, King Friday is clearly FDR, though.
He kind of is at times. And then he's not, because he starts so much trouble in the neighborhood until we're finally introduced to the witch of the neighborhood, Lady Elaine Fairchild. Like I did not even know she did not even live in the neighborhood of make believe in the early seasons. Like I didn't know she was not one of the original puppets. Like I was shocked as hell when I was like, she just magically appears somewhere in like season 5 or 6, right before, or season 2 or 3, right before the royal wedding, and actually uses, instead of being, you know, a devious evildoer. Well, I wouldn't say evildoer, but she's chaotic. She's chaotic neutral in the neighborhood of make believe. That like.
I mean, she did try to kill Tuesday like a whole bunch of times.
She did inadvertently try to kill Tuesday, who then she adopts as her nephew in the series, because she's always later on he always calls her aunt, which is the most ludicrous thing if he knew how many times she tried to kill him.
Give this baby this pill. It'll be fine. It's a nice pill. I made it from magic.
Yeah, so like the one thing is like she starts off not being as chaotic neutral at times, but she like kind of shows up and she's like just a zany character, but because of where we're from in the era, we know she's just chaotic. She is chaotic evil to chaotic good to chaotic neutral. She just rides that area so well that she just bounces the level of chaotic that when like you see King Friday's weddings coming up, she actually gives him a wedding gift. She's like, I'm gonna change the exterior of your castle and make every room on the inside just ever so slightly bigger. But then afterwards, we never get to see the inside of the castle like ever again. Because like early seasons, we went inside the castle, like everyone was like mind boggled. Like because most of the people in the chat that I saw were people who grew up with anything around 79 and on. Like every member of that chat was more modern day than ever, and then someone showed up who was there, who was like, "Oh yeah, I remember watching these when I was in black and white." And then there was the joke of going, "So you know how to work the internet like Lady Aberlin, eh?"
I mean, speaking of Lady Aberlin,
yeah,
the chat waifu.
Yeah, she was chat waifu because she was a looker through most of her life, and like she was like, "Oh, I wasn't that pretty," and I'm sitting there like, "Okay, keep lying to me, Betty, keep lying."
Keep lying, man.
Because like she was a looker, she was gorgeous. Even as she was getting older, she was still a looker, and the chat was just in love with so much about her. Whether it be just the switch between being Betty Aberlin and Lady Aberlin, some of her actual ability to like have stage acting, because she was able to actually sell like the supposed accidents that occurred, like a puppet falling or the trolley getting derailed. Like it was like a legit thing. Like the looks was like, oh shit, someone just died. Like it was some of the most like legit shit ever. Like she had some of the best. I think she had some of the more of the best like reactions than a lot of the other older actors in the show. And when you look at the evolution of some of her, co-workers, like for example, think of freaking Chef Brockett. Originally, when he got into the kitchen, he kind of had like one of those niches that you see people have that have like levels of autism or other like mental disorders, where like when he's in the kitchen, because he's in the zone, you can't talk to him, you can't touch his utensils, you can't do anything, and he has to like try to sign language to you because like he wants utter silence. And like the entire chat that grew up with him being like this very animated person was like so freaking annoyed by his older version of the character. Supposedly, and this is what Betty Aberlin said, was that the character was so outrageous that as the episodes went on, even though it was Fred's idea to have the character that way, Chef Brockett hated it, that Brockett would do more crazier things, so it would actually annoy Fred to the point that after like season 5 or 8, Fred finally was like, fuck this shit, he's talking, I'm getting tired of this.
I mean, Fred is probably the one person you don't want to try to test his patience.
Oh no, like Fred was a saint. Like he had patience, but like I heard how like he was able to throw shade and do some underhanded stuff, but in the most like genuine ways where you're like, is he being evil or is he like he was like the best
It's like
way
Big
I
Bird.
think Lady Aberlin wrote was he knows how to kill you with kindness. He is the master of killing you with kindness.
Never forget Big Bird.
Oh yeah, the Big Bird story about how he and Carol Spiney actually got into like a 30-minute argument over the phone over the whole scenario of the crossovers. And man, the crossovers and the guest roles, like the chat was explosive. Like when Tony Bennett showed up, Julia Child, Big Bird, Captain Kangaroo,
Kangaroo.
Bill
Yeah.
Nye the Science Guy, Lou Ferrigno.
The Hulk.
Yeah, well, he actually showed how he applies the makeup in that, which was cool.
Oh no, he broke the fourth wall. Everything's ruined.
Well, no,
Big
because
Bird
the reason was don't forget the old Hulk was super feral and scary for kids. That like they went and explained that the Hulk is supposed to be a comic book character that is a monster. Like I just loved like all the crazy shit to see the evolution, like how the set evolved, where like his supposed house that he has for the TV house was like this really rundown place that over the course of like 3 seasons like started to like get renovated, like better paint on the walls, better setups like with furniture, and then by somewhere like season 9 or 10, when we're only like a third into the show, we get like 10 to 14, we get like the elaborate looking like set that we got throughout the last 30 to 40 years of his career. You know, it was like crazy how in at least a little amount of time, which was like 7 to 10 years, it did change. Whereas for us, we were always adjusted to how the house looked, how he did his shows, or how characters were. Like it was always so incredibly different. It was amazing because like I think if it wasn't for the chat also while having fun with it and ribbing it, it would have just been people like either just dull out of their mind. Like
Yeah.
I think people poking fun at it was a thing because like me, this is a fact. Like I grew up watching it, and like when I'd be at home, like on days when I'd be sick, I would still just put on Mr. Rogers because it was like as Visible Ninja said, it's like a soothing show, like watching Bob Ross, that it just calms you, even though it's not made for adults and stuff. It's just a show where it's like just natural soothingness or just enjoyment. It's like when people watch Looney Tunes or MGM cartoons. It's calming. Like what else can you say, Mucha? Like you probably have more in depth. Like come on.
Like, yeah, it was nice watching like some of the Mr. Rogers episodes. I didn't catch all the episodes because of sleep and just forgetting to turn on Twitch at times. But it was nice just rewatching like some of the older things where I think it's what we said before we even did this podcast. It's like Mr. Rogers can even teach you things that you didn't even know still. Like no matter how old you are or what time frame you are in your life, like he will still kind of teach you something that you probably didn't know or didn't even realize, such as like how are crayons made in like the old times or during that time. And
Yeah, like the earlier versions of Picture Picture probably at least
Yeah.
helped, I think, show like
Yeah.
the gradual change on the production of certain items, or like how back in the day he chose to be very old fashioned with making paste. He didn't actually want to buy
Yeah.
glue. He would do the other way of making it.
Yeah, or how he had I forget what he called it, but it was something to help warm up the blankets in his house.
Oh yeah, how he actually showed like the hot water bottles, I think, or the hot water heaters or whatever like that, like those
Yeah.
comforters. Oh, wait,
Like-
was it the one when he went to the old cabin or whatever with his sons?
Yeah, yeah, and explain like how he would keep warm it like when he was a child.
Yeah, like the one thing
So that
like,
was like
like the one thing about Fred was he in a sense always tried to teach people stuff, but the
Yeah.
biggest problem I would say there was with him was actually sometimes the over sense of repetition. I felt was a little crazy because like one thing I thought that was interestingly weird was throughout the shows he never tried to add anything new to his songs. And I think it was also to be because of his show was to be for ages 3 to like 7. It was supposed to help with motor function and stuff like that, of learning speech. So I think he thought by changing it throughout his entire career, it would end up causing issues in possibly memory and learning habits. Because look how many times he teaches people about, like, juicing or proper food groups. Like, he does that at least twice or 3 times an entire season, or twice within the, like, 10 to 15 episodes. Like, he spaces stuff. Like, he does a lot of repetition with his stuff.
Well, I think I can't really blame him, because how many things can you really talk about that won't go over a child's head, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think you can talk about, like, economic policies to a child, even though that would be, like, something that would be beneficial to a child in the long run. It's not something that a child would probably comprehend at that age that he's teaching it.
Like, I can say, like, I felt like as the years went on and he began theming out his weeks, things got better, I felt like, because, like, watching the earlier episodes and them kind of having more, like, a gradual, like, always overarching story that also tied into the neighborhood of make-believe kind of, like, messed things up. But then when you would have, like, when he'd have a theme week and then have it that the neighborhood would also talk more about the theme that he was trying to present, I think it also it carried the narrative better.
I think that was actually very beneficial. Yeah, like, it made every week feel consistent, so that the next week you could be excited for, like, what new thing he's going to talk about during the week.
Because don't forget, some of his earlier arcs in his stories actually took the course. When you look at the Wikipedia or the Neighborhood Archive, it actually shows, like, arcs by, like, the name of the arc, such as, like, what was it? Like, King Friday's Wedding or whatever was, like, almost 12 episodes of neighborhood segments also tying in with the plot when the characters would show up. Or, like, how he would break the fourth wall between, like, earlier seasons. It was weird when characters could exist in the neighborhood as well as exist in reality, compared to later seasons when the people in the neighborhood were imaginary versions of people he knew. You know, it was kind of like when people, like, the neighborhood of make-believe versions of, like, Lady Aberlin and Betty Aberlin, like, when they split the two from each other, it was like, the best way to explain it is, like, when you see them here as Betty Aberlin and then you see her as Lady Aberlin, it's like writing a fan fiction or writing a narrative of a story. Is that, like, when you write a story, you base those people around the people in your life and around you. And right now we have Project finally joining us.
Yeah. I told you, man.
See, we told you. He would be here by the time we were getting ready to wrap up, you know, our little discussion on enjoying the Mr. Rogers stream and being glad that it actually rose almost half of its actual wanted amount, which was, you know, 50,000 out of, like, the 100,000 they needed.
Yeah, I just remember, like, a lot of the chat jokes are, like, African American magic, Lady Aberlin is bae, King Friday is basically the president.
Yeah, like those were some of the funniest things. Cause, like, I think when shit got PC, like when they were getting freaking out about, oh no, 2 genders.
Two genders, yeah.
Yeah, 2 genders confirmed. Or and every time the Garden of Your Mind music video would show up, like, the chat would explode.
That was because it was straight fire.
It was. It really was. Like that is like what is it? People say when, like, you're a kid, oh yeah, you should introduce your kids to Raffi or whatever his name is, that weirdo, the one who sung Baby Beluga. But I'm like, no, you need to find this digitally freaking, you know, composed, like, auto-tune thing by this one guy who did it as just a tribute to PBS. Just find that and show that to their kids, because when the actual episode of Garden of Your Mind aired, like, the entire chat was, like, in ecstasy. Like, because, like, there's, like, 4 episodes put together, but when they used the main focus of that song, the chat was just like Matt Hardy when he, like, gets one of those weird tinglings when he's talking about his broken universe, and he's like, ah.
Yeah, pretty much.
It was just fucking.
It was great. Like, I think we can just say, like, it was just nice having, like, a reminder of what Mr. Rogers was for us.
Oh yeah, because, like, my personal thing was, for me, I wanted to just see the evolution of the show,
Yeah.
between black and white to the weird rundown shanty house to the characters actually splitting.
Before and after Net.
Yeah.
Skynet.
Oh yeah, yeah, and then like when Net turned into PBS, or the fact that every time someone said Sears Roebuck Foundation, the chat like laughed their asses off because it's bankrupt.
Yeah.
And the other kicker was when they finally got to like the more recent episodes in like the last 2 seasons, and Fred was talking about the internet, and he was like, the internet is a pretty great place to learn about stuff, but you shouldn't have machines help you so much with your actual thought process of learning and stuff. They're not actually things for entertainment. They're educational purposes. And I'm sitting here like, if only Fred knew of us watching the Twitch stream now. Yeah, the whole chat, the whole chat was like, well, Fred, I guess the garden of your mind isn't that expansive to understand how technology was evolving around you. And that's the thing, like, he did die 2 years after the show ended in like August of 2001. But like at that time, like that was when even computers and stuff were evolving so much that even his old-timed ways, he should have realized were becoming more and more outdated. But the thing was, he was always able to, I think, keep a constant just because of how people say he was a natural saint. Whereas we kept making jokes in the chat, he was the first true Ultraman.
Yeah, he was the first true Ultraman, but also a CIA agent. Trying to get after Joey from selling all those arms.
Also, don't forget the one plot twist that made you and me and Project actually go, what the hell, was when we found out Don Frakes is actually is a famous known voice actor. Like, I knew of the actor, but I did not know his actual role in Mr. Rogers. Like, it slipped by my mind. So when I found out, not 90s Fox Kids Sabretooth, the voice of Star Wars Christmas Boba Fett, and that was Mr. Anybody, I was like, get the fuck out. And then when I found out his adopted daughter is, infamous actress / voice actress Cree Summers, I was like, nah. Nah. And then don't forget when the chat had their minds blown when Michael Keaton appeared once on screen, and Keith
Michael
David
Keaton.
Or whatever.
Little do people know, Michael Keaton did work on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
But little did they know, he actually made an on-screen appearance once.
Yeah.
And then, and then Keith David was there, and the chat was like, he's a guardian of the night and of make-believe. So now that Project is finally here, we can actually talk about the full subject that is at hand. A favorite Rider villain, as well as one of the worst villain ideas we've ever seen, per se. So since this is Project's idea, maybe he should tell us what his favorite villain was from Kamen Rider.
I don't know, Wheels. Mine's just 2 words.
Oh no.
I'm sorry, it's 3. Unless is it 3 words or 2 words?
I don't know.
I don't know. Who is it?
Come on now. Okay, come on. It's an easy answer.
Fucking Don Masamune?
No, man. It's Starfish Hitler, man.
Oh my god.
No, that's 2
Actually,
words.
you know what? Are you sure? I thought Starfish was 1 word.
No, I'm talking about that is 2 words. Starfish Hitler.
Okay, so it is 2 words. Although I could always use Aunt Capone.
Oh god, Aunt Capone. What about Genghis Condor?
Stop that. No, but Product, who's your favorite villain in Rider?
Like as in all seriousness, or actually or just because it makes me laugh?
I would say in all seriousness.
Oh man, tough call. You know what? Decade.
I mean, he's not far off. Not far off.
Okay, fine. In all seriousness, it'd probably be. Oh my god, that is a tough call. Oh god, the most obvious one is Shadow Moon, but everybody likes Shadow Moon.
Well, he is the original OG villain, like the one that really like stands out even in the Showa era. Aside from aside from
it's not like Rider's been trying to. It's not like all of Heisei era's been trying to remake him.
Because if you think about it, he's the one villain writer that couldn't even had that could have been easily redeemed written if they wrote something for him, but they just chose not to redeem.
Well, no, Shadow Moon did get redeemed in RX, but it wasn't that really good of a redemption.
Like, the funny thing is about Black is that sadly the head writer for the show kind of stepped down. So, like, the completely new set of people were writing the show. So it's possible that Shadow Moon could have had a redemption arc. In the same vein as in Spielbahn.
Like,
if you haven't seen Spielbahn.
I don't think I've watched that one yet, but here's something that's funny about Shadow Moon. Here's something funny about Shadow Moon. The fact that, like, Ishinomori argued that he actually wanted the name to actually be Kamen Rider Shadow Moon, but Toei was like, no, there can't be such thing as an evil Kamen Rider. Fast forward years later. Really, Toei? Really?
Well, we made a mistake there. Shadow Moon's also freaky in the manga. I've read some of the manga. He looks exactly like Black, so you can't tell him apart. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be a joke about racism or what, but yeah. They look the same. And there's, I guess, time loops and shit.
I don't know if it's supposed to be about race or misidentity, like Ryuki and Ryuga.
Everybody doesn't know who Ryuga is.
Like, probably aside from Shadow Moon, because like that one's like an obvious one. That's like one of the best villains in like, and the weird part is he's not really a villain. He's like a villain and a pawn at the same time. It's like, what are you?
Yeah.
You know what? Fine. I don't. This too much. Oh man, it's hard to choose. Because if I choose one, do movie writers count?
Yeah, you could also maybe. Well, actually, well. Do you want
Narrow
Shadow Moon?
down.
Like, do you want Shadow Moon to be your main guy? Like, do you want him to be your talked about guy? Because like, it's like, man, like Shadow Moon, like he is the OG, like in a sense. Like it's hard, like yeah.
Well, there's not really to talk about. Think about it. Shadow, mentioning him, everybody knows who he is. So it's
exactly.
Not like
it's
a
like
big deal.
it's not like that's also the weird part about Shadow Moon is like he's just like up there in that tier of where you look at Showa villains. And it's like you got like Shinigami Hakase, actual Shocker leader, a few of the guys from Stronger, and then you got
Don't
like
forget about Colonel Zoe.
oh yeah, but it's like when you add like some of those guys in there or Ambassador Hell, it's really interesting or whatever, you know? It's like it's one of those things I always found kind of funny is that like some of the Showa Rider villains don't stand out that much, and yet they do. But then you got like Shadow Moon. I think it's because he is a writer technically that made him stand out even more. Is that he's a true villainous writer.
Yeah.
And then like
he's like the what if that people always thought of if like Hongo didn't get if Hongo didn't escape.
Yeah, because like, and then don't forget the only reason he didn't escape was because Ultraman helped them take over.
I mean that's true. But
and it's funny too because Project talks about Kamen Rider Black, and take a guess what I was watching earlier today, the first few episodes, and all of a sudden I'm like, hey Hayata, how you doing? Hi Hayata, trying to kill these kids.
Okay, fine. My real what's it called? Let's go with Bishop from Kiva.
Oh my God.
He kind of is like a real villain when you think about it.
Project 35 Answers podcast.
What? It's hard to decide, man. Give me a break.
I know.
And don't forget, Project did forget the episode was recording this week or at all. So it's like
I wasn't even planning to be here, just to be honest with you. I was gonna take a break for a while.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
and now he's here, and like now we got him under the gun. And it's like, what do you think? What do you think about your own topic?
What do you think about it, motherfucker? Tell us.
I don't know. I'm like the HR of this group. I just give you guys ideas and let you guys run with it.
Human resources.
Run with it.
Because
Please.
we can't.
Anyways, yeah, I chose Bishop because he's kind of like a legit bad. It does nothing redeeming about him. And as the series went along, he went even crazier. Only because remember was it Saga? What's his name? Is it Taiga?
Yeah.
When Taiga eventually decides to kind of like not live up to what's his face's expectations, he kind of just turns on him and revives his old master.
I mean, I guess you could say Bishop is probably the only one in Kiva that actually has a plot or plan.
What about that spider fang guy? The one that giggles.
What
like
about
a
him?
retard with him and his hand puppet, who's obsessed
Listen,
with
we
both
don't
mother and
talk
daughter.
about Darkon on this show. Okay.
That's actually
Well,
Darkon's
I'm
most hated villain of all time. Like, that's like one of the villains he hates next to Bono. And I'm not talking about the singer.
I mean, Bono's pretty up there though.
The singer or the actual
Choose-
Drive guy.
to be honest, I would say, you know what? Oh wait, our favorite bad guy, right? Well, Medic's not really a bad guy. Plus, she's good to look at, so I don't know.
Yeah,
how
no,
it's
she's
just-
like favorite female villainous bae. Yeah, she's like one of the few that are out there that are female villainesses that are hot. Like I'm trying to sit back and remember female villainesses that are hot, and like I'm drawing a blank outside of
Aruba
her.
from Kuga.
what about that chick from Vice? Is it the lobster one?
Oh yeah, Lobster. I
Yeah.
think was another hot one.
Yeah.
The
Okay,
Rose.
Deca Bright.
Oh yeah, Deca Bright. But she wasn't
What-
hot as she wasn't really hot as the Grongi. She was hotter as Deca.
Oh, I thought she was really attractive in Kuga.
I'm guessing I
That's
didn't
just
see
be
it.
because I'm criminally insane.
Well,
so
yeah, you
it's
are
fine.
criminally insane, but yet you fight for the side
Yeah,
of justice.
yeah.
You're the
I
Kusaka
don't know.
of this world.
I don't know about that.
Oh God.
And yes, he is criminally insane. I talked to Miles Morales.
Oh my God,
I
that's two
understand.
jokes. That's two jokes, and yet Mucha still hasn't really done a Miles joke this entire episode, if I recall.
Man, this is the strangest episode of all time.
Dan it.
This
Like, what the fuck is going on?
is truly a roundabout episode, I will say.
I
Oh,
know.
for the record, this has nothing to do. This is pro wrestling related, but you need to watch the Being the Elite episode because a certain hooded man appears and says "fuck the revival."
Oh yeah, so yeah.
Project has like 40 answers. At
Yeah,
this point.
but that's great because that's
it was his topic.
yeah. So that's great, but that's great though because that's more dialogue he'll get on the episode.
Yeah.
Well, because I'm busy. Okay,
Yeah, he's probably like making bubble tea as we speak.
I'm drinking it right now.
See. This is why me and Project are technically known as the freaking Kamen Rider double of this group because we kind of know what the fuck's going on about each other.
I told you where I was going.
Nigga,
Liar.
I did not hear you.
You're a fucking liar.
Nigga, I did not. Mucha, did he ever
Why?
tell me? No, he
I
did
don't
not.
know.
Exactly. Okay, so Mucha, you're a villain, I guess, since Project's had 42 villains. And the bitch
Actually, it was
wasn't
65, but whatever.
Sir, 35, same as the anniversary season for Sentai.
Oh, God.
I thought we were past
so-
35.
Oh, wait, wait,
I'm on 41.
wait. There's seasons after Koryuger.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Tell me more.
Not
I mean,
now.
we
That's
could,
another
but
episode.
Why would we tell you about disappointment?
It'll be another episode. The next episode. Here,
The next episode.
the Lit Podcast explain.
Lit
Project
Podcast.
learns about the Super Sentai after Koryuger.
Even though you
Alright,
watch,
do it.
even though you watch Q Ranger.
Hey, what's that? Oh, wait, that's a Sentai?
No, that's a Metal Hero. I don't know what Will was trying to feed you.
Okay, Mooch,
Oh my God.
go on with your favorite villain because
Alright,
I already
so-
know. I know.
I thought
Oh
that was
no
the
no
reverse-
no! I know what I already know what your worst villain idea is, but okay.
Before you go, I thought Q-Ranger was like a reverse harem. It's the Hammy show with like
Yes!
other guys.
It's the reverse.
Reverse harem.
Well,
She's
not
calling it-
8 other guys and a robot chick.
Oh yeah, there you go. Hey, nothing wrong with that.
I am gonna tweet that. Q Ranger is the reverse harem starring Hammy and her idiots.
You're welcome, Wheels. You can credit me on that one.
So there are a couple Rider villains that I like, but I thought that since Project brought up Shadow Moon as one of his 59,000 villains,
35.
whatever.
47.
I would bring up another villain from Kamen Rider Black, Bilginia. Now, I don't know if anybody
shit.
remembers
I know where this is leading to.
what is this leading into, Wheels? Tell me.
That one villain everyone gets pissed about that got killed like in the middle of the season.
Well, yeah, I understand why he was killed off, though, because it was a show of, like, how fucking strong Shadow Moon is and just what he's capable of. But, like, Belginia comes around, like, what, episode 19 or something? And, episode 19 or 18, and, he's, like, a real game changer, because he goes after Kotaro, like, vengefully, to like get the Kingstone and kill him. Like there's like no holds barred against with him. He will go after Kotaro's family. He will go after his friends. He will go after everything he stands for just to bring him down a peg. And that's what like one of the most endearing things about him is that he's just that brutal of a villain. And I also like him because he's kind of like the guy that the Century King kind of said, yeah, the Creation King said, yeah, about that. I'm not gonna like make you one of my my guys. You know, you're not my number one guy like Bob was with the Joker. You are sort of like second banana, some jackass that I found on the street. And that kind of pisses off Bill Guinia because he's like, why wasn't I chosen? Like, what the fuck, man? I should be like the Creation King. I should be the one leading Golem, not these jackasses named Kotaro and Nobiko. And one of my favorite parts with him is when he gets his own fucking bike called the Hell Shooter or something, and like they have like an epic bike battle between Kotaro and him, and it's just fun to watch. Or when he goes to like get the Satan Saber and goes to like all these trials and like fire just to get it all. It's just all wonderful to see how far he will go just to kill Kotaro and get the Kingstone from him just because he's that dedicated to being the top dog. Kind of like what Gomo became in Kuga, in a sense. So I always found those characters kind of interesting, the guys that are kind of treated badly and forgotten, and then they try to make up for it by being badasses. I also love Yoshida's portrayal of Beginia. He does a great job. Who people don't know also played Poe in Shider.
So I think it's my turn, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh shit! Like I've been really debating on what one of my favorite villains are, because like a lot of the weird thing is like I tried to choose one that more people would be acquainted with, and the thing I have the issue is like they're good in their own rights to their story, but it's like some of the execution that was done is loosely like terrible. It's like for example, I would say a good villain is kind of like Kenzaki, because he picked the stupidest idiots to get his scheme going because no one ever questioned him, as you stated, but it's still stupid because someone should have. Or another one is like another one is like Dagavu Zeba. He's just like sulking around for most of the series and we don't see him for like the last 4 episodes. Like
no, that's a good thing. He's like, his presence is just
it's there. It's like there. Like you think he's gonna awaken, but you realize he's like the first one to awoken and killed everyone in there when they found the belt.
Yeah.
But it's like
he was just regaining his power.
So it's like hard to gauge. Like it's really hard to gauge villains that appear like at the last minute end of the series, like Dagavu Zeba or like Kai and Deno, because it's like you don't get to know these characters that well, and they expect you to like get an understanding of who they are by, you know, within 7 to 4 episodes or 10 to.
Well, I feel like for Dagava's case though is that
his presence is there, like you said. Yeah.
His presence is there like throughout the series, but you get to know Dagava more in the sense of you understanding the Grongi society when you have like Barba and Goma and all the other Grongi just kind of representing like the kind of mindset Dagava has, which is basically a child who has gained power and he sees this power as a fun way to like just killing people because that's like the most fun thing he can do with this power.
Yeah, like I would say if I had to choose a villain that people would recognize with, I kind of feel like Kamen Rider Gold Drive, you know, Dr. Bono is kind of like a really good villain per se, because he was kind of very calculating and meticulous, and he had like no feelings even when it came to his own children. Like he was like, I'm just gonna kill my own kids. I'm gonna kill my son, and then maybe Drive, I'm gonna kill my daughter right in front of you, because I'm pretty sure you have a thing for my daughter. And then Chase, the Roid Mute's like, I also have a thing for your daughter. Ew, that is sick. You are technically now a sex toy by what you just explained to me. You will die because you're a sex toy. I will get rid of you. Delete. So it's like he had his own minions afraid of him, his own creations afraid of him. He had his own former friends afraid of him. He made his kids fear him. So I mean, like, I feel like his level of insanity is just amazing, especially due to the fact, like, having seen Guardians of the Galaxy 2, the whole who the true villain of Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is, it's like, no, that's why Bono's a pretty great villain, is because he's so evil, you love to hate him. And at the same time, you respect that way of character, because it just proves how truly evil someone is if they're willing to kill, like, their own blood, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm willing to kill my own kids. Like, that's villainy, like, right there. That's villainy to, like, a T. Like killing your wife, killing your kids is, like, true evil shit. Sometimes, though, killing your parents I don't think is really evil, because sometimes it's really the parents who are the bad guys in the first place. But it's usually, like, if the parent kills their lover, or the parent like, if the person kills their spouse, or the person kills their kid in a toku, that's usually, like, pure evil. If a kid has to kill their parent, that's usually because the story usually writes it that the parent is evil the entire freaking time, you know? Like, a lot of people still kind of, like, I know a lot of people who shit on Drive, but, like, I felt like it was a really strong writer series in the modern age, even though most of it was really just a ripoff of being a metal hero. So I feel like I really feel like freaking Bono is, if you look at as the weird fans like to call it, the Neo Heisei era, or the post-decade era, he's, like, a really solid villain. But then you get Dan Masamune and Kuroto, and Dan Kuroto. Like, it's just like, no, that's some villainy shit right there. Yeah, I feel like Bono, Shadow Moon, like, all, like, the funny thing is, like, writer villains, in a sense, are all written to be great villains, but they always have, like, the most craziest flaws about them, whether it be the execution on when they arrive in the series, or what they do with their master scheme and plan. Which is why we're actually going to be talking about worst villain ideas, which we did not narrow this down to Kamen Rider. However, I'm pretty sure Mucha.
Well, that's because I thought we were doing writer villains, like.
Oh, no. I don't think we ever decided that it'd be worst villain writer. I'm not too sure, because, like, we just left that up.
Villains in Toku. I think we just left it as Toku.
I think it's like a worst villain idea, like the worst villain plan in Toku. But, like, if we want to, like, yeah, we can just use writer, because there's at least one that we can all agree on, two that we can all sort of agree on.
Yeah. Because I had mine chosen from writer.
So yeah, let's see Mucha go first, then we'll pass it to Project.
All right. So when I looked at this topic of worst writer villain ideas, and I was talking with Alex about it, because I was like, writer villains aren't necessarily bad ideas, it's more just their execution. But when I look at, like, the writer villains and thinking through them, the ones that pop into my head are all from Kobayashi shows, which are, like, Ryuki, O's, Dano, Amazons. And I decided to look at 3 in particular: Kanzaki, Kai, and Dr. Maki. 3 villains who I feel like didn't help the show at all, and in fact stalled it for way longer than it needed to be. My problem with Kanzaki was they tried to make him sympathetic for no reason. Like, he's supposed to be like this devil, but yeah, for some reason the show decides to progressively try to make it like a sympathetic character, because he's doing it all for Yui. And it's kind of hard. It's like kind of a hard sell at that point, because he's kind of like Ryuya from Time Ranger. And I don't like Ryuya from Time Ranger as a villain either. So, like, why would I like Kanzaki for having, like, the same kind of motives? But he's probably the most, I guess, likely to have a good idea in there somewhere as a villain in Ryuki.
He has the better idea out of the 3 villains you bring up, because I don't even remember what Maki's true
Maki, see, okay, I'll go to Maki because we're bringing him up. Maki makes no damn sense to me, because he should have just died off or something and have Ankh be the main villain. Maki destroys everything that the Greed do in the show by taking over the show as the villain. He makes the Greed look like weaklings, pathetic, losers, weaklings, and totally incompetent. And his whole thing is like, he's supposed to be the embodiment of no desire, but he clearly has a desire, because he's like, I want to destroy the world to show how beautiful it is. That's a desire. So I'm like, how can he be a guy who represents no desire if he has a desire? It makes no sense. And then Kai. Kai.
The galaxy is calling to me. Do, 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 do.
He probably is better in Orb, but in Dano, he makes no sense.
Hey, his reactions though are amazing. What's their expression on my face?
Yeah, I don't even get it. Like, why? What's his purpose? What's his function? Why do the Imagine need like a leader who's like telling them, okay, everybody, we're trying to go through time to destroy time.
You know what's really cracktastic though? You mentioned that she wrote these shows, but she also wrote B Fighter Kabuto and Juko B Fighter. I'm like, but yet we like those shows.
I don't think she wrote those shows, but I think she was involved.
She was listed as being a main writer on the show, but that's about it.
She was her head writing stuff is like Ginga Man, Time Ranger, Shinkenger, Tokuger, Ryuki, O's, Deno, and Amazons. And the Garo anime. Let's not forget the Garo anime. But
we'll save that for another day. That's when we're Los Ingobernables de Anime.
Oh god.
Oh
god. Another show. Kai just never made sense because he really didn't even give the Imagines a purpose. Because even when the Imagines went through time, one of them even went like, okay, what do I do now? I'm here now. What do I do? And he's like spends like some of the episode just complaining like he doesn't know what to do. They're just Kobayashi. I have no idea. I feel like she was just for Kai. She was trying to remake Gien from Time Ranger / Sailor Galactus from I think that's how it's pronounced, from Sailor Moon, and combine them together to make this weirdo time guy who just fails on all levels because he has no purpose, he has no meaning, he's just kind of there just to say, what is the reaction on my face, Mon Ami? Maki supposed to have no desire, but clearly has a desire and just takes over the show from the other villains who already were good enough, but now they're just on the side. And Kanzaki, an unnecessarily sympathetic character. Like, he didn't need to be sympathetic to make him cool show. He just needed to be a good villain, and he kind of just was shit at the end. Especially when he's like crying to Yui and like uses time vet to fix a picture. Like, what the shit was that about? Kobayashi, sometimes you annoy me with your writers, what you do with your villains sometimes. Okay, I'm done rambling.
What?
Okay,
I'm done.
I'm back. I had to.
I mean, I could talk about Miles Morales as being a terrible villain, but a bad idea. But you know,
there's our joke.
We have 3 jokes in the episode. Excellent.
Okay, so I guess my worst idea, and this is the one that Mucha was like called it. He was like, "Wheels, you're gonna do it, aren't you?" I'm like, "Nah." And he's like, "You're doing it, aren't you?" And I'm like, "I kind of am." One of my biggest issues, and this is more about execution, was the Sonozaki family are supposed to be a high-end crime family that are trying to break into the illegal arms deals, like where they're actually trying to weaponize and take over the world with their production of the Gaia memories. And like it makes like a solid ideal sense, especially when you bring in like Foundation X, who's supposed to be like this overarching group that's also like being like, oh, so you want to be a part of the Foundation X program and have us, license these weapons as a part of our, global arms deal to take over the world illegally and, just conquer it. And they're like, yeah, we want you to do this. But then, like, the Sonozaki family, like most crime families in, like, certain depictions, start trying to turn each other in a sense, like, kill each other off or take over, which is kind of like, the flaw of most, like, mob family dramas is, like, either the family turns against itself or another outside force is coming to get it. And, like, then it just leads off as now Foundation X is your main villain in, like, the last 4 or 5 episodes, and then the payoff is nothing, because Toei just decided Foundation X is not a viable source of story material. So it's like, everything you built up with this crime family trying to expand their horizon led to goddamn nothing. And just led to people believing that Futo is literally like the Windy City of America, crime-ridden and garbage. Because, Kamen Rider W still has a purpose, in the city, still henching and not just being a regular detective without needing the ability to henching. And another thing, as Mooch has always argued with me, is that like the guy memories are supposed to depict a way of being, addicted to drugs, but in some episodes it doesn't really look like that. It's like people are, you know, not addicted to using it. Because if that's the case, there should have been more episodes like the part where the reason why what's his goddamn name was killed. What's his goddamn name?
His skull?
No,
Oh, you mean,
Nazca.
Nazca.
When he's like, you shouldn't be dealing these to kids. If there was more episodes that focused on like kids getting them and like having the urge to like start causing like riots and shit in the street, it probably would have set up the whole allegory to it's supposed to be a thing on about fighting against drugs as well as crime a little bit better, because like the entire series is supposed to be like a detective drama thing, but like I felt like it never just works around what the hell is going on in the show. And so like I feel like they kind of faltered as a full, as a crime family. They faltered because like everything that happened paid off to being kind of nothing in the overall scheme of that was being foreshadowed and built up to. It was kind of like, wow. It's I mean watching O's as villains, oh yeah, that's just garbage. But then like in a series that's so well loved and received, it's like no one's gonna point this out that they had this great idea that was terribly like run to shit due to either tropes or bad ideas by corporate writing the show. And what was your idea as a bad villain idea? I forgot. Did you?
Oh, dude, this didn't even happen. Okay, Decade. Think about
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Remember
we
the
had
movie?
no villain. Yeah.
The supposed
No,
movie
you mean,
that was.
don't you mean Dark Decade? That
Well,
never
yeah, basically Decade, right? Because remember the alleged story was supposed to be the Decade we have in the series is actually the AR world Decade, and the original one is actually the evil one. It's the leader of Shocker. The Die Shocker or Shocker?
It was Die Shocker, I think.
Yeah, it was like Die Shocker
Right?
and stuff.
They even did a badass trailer where there's like Tsukasa's getting chased by Decade complete form, and then that did not happen at all, which pissed me off because that would have explained so much. That would have explained so much, and this is the villain that we never really got, but kind of we all knew would have made sense if the movie happened. What do you think, Wheels? Because
Yeah, like the whole Decade storyline is something that fans still want to see the true ending of, the whole issue with the theory that, the Tsukasas were actually
know.
switched. The real Tsukasa that the main writers know from like the real universe is the
evil
bad one. And the one from the alternate universes that
The one we
he's
got.
from is the one that we know, which kind of made sense, especially because when he goes back home in the All Riders vs. Die Shocker movie, you have Shadow Moon, his right hand man / butler and bodyguard, going, "You've changed." His sister going, "You've changed," and everyone's not realizing that like, yeah, he's not trying to take over the world, meaning, oh shit, there's another Decade out there running around. There's another motherfucker.
I would have laughed if it was just the whole like Batman scenario. Like there was like a YouTube video where it was called Batman versus Batman, and it had like Val Kilmer and Michael Keaton versus like Christian Bale Batman. And I'm like, is that the scenario that's actually going on in Decade? Like it's another actor who's portraying Decade that got rejected, and he's just like, I'm really Decade now.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
And don't forget in that
Decade versus Decade.
And don't forget, in that trailer, we got a badass Yusuke instead of the one we got.
No, we don't talk about that Yusuke. We don't talk about that Kuga.
Yeah, but in that trailer, he actually seems like more threatening and badass, unlike the one that we actually got in the series. But what else happened in that short trailer? Does anybody remember that?
Okay, there was the whole part where like he goes Ultimate Kuga, grabs like DN by the chest, by like his actual chest armor, while holding him up, and you see like armor, like the armor like exploding and the spark shocks going off on him. Decade gets beat up by Dark Decade. There's a part where all the riders like show up in their final form, standing by Decade or DN's side, trying to fight Decade. There was
the
another
Natsume
thing.
Still.
There wasn't much with Natsumi actually in the trailer, except the one part where her and Decade are fighting in the Rider War world in the sand pit, and she's actually fighting him as Kivala.
Riddle me this, Wheels. Who is Kivala?
Oh Jesus
Oh
Christ!
God, no one knows.
No,
one
Wheels
knows.
knows what I'm doing.
I know what he's doing. I know.
I don't.
Don't worry.
I'm so confused.
Don't worry. Don't worry. It's a really bad thing. But nevertheless,
What a-
like I do agree. Decade story, like there was no villain. He was the villain, but he wasn't the villain. But it wasn't. It's
We never got the explanation that we needed.
it's like one of the it's like I say it's like one of those middle fingers. Like it's like the ones when you get the villain in the last 2 episodes or the last 4 episodes. So it's like WTF, you know? It's really annoying, and I think that's one of the issues though throughout all of Toei's written stuff, even when Shitori Shimori was writing it, was that like there was always like this weird idea of like the I guess what is it the infamous the man behind the curtain scenario that shows up within like the last arc, and
You mean
sometimes
like
that
Wizard?
yeah, and I feel like
Okay, Wise Man was a terrible villain idea. I think I should have mentioned him, but like I was too pissed off at Kobayashi at the time. Wise Man was a terrible idea from start to finish.
And then we had Gremlins actually the real bad guy. Spoiler alert.
Another terrible idea. Wizard's villain's terrible idea, except for the concept of phantoms.
Yeah, actually, I thought if Phoenix would have been the bad guy because he kept he won't die, but no, they killed him. They pretty much found a way to murk him. But that should have been at the end.
Kick him into the sun. Okay, now what do they do with the rest of the series? I don't fucking know.
I don't know. That should have how he should have ended fighting that guy in the finale. Yeah, I don't know how to kill you.
Where do I go from here?
No, think about it. Like he keeps on killing him like every couple of episodes, right? He dies, but then like he won't come back. He keeps on coming back. So how do you finish him off? Fucking send him to the sun. There you go.
Until he finally gets enough power to break through the sun.
To come back in the movie as a super powered version of Phoenix.
yeah, like
Phoenix
that's, like
Nova.
that's one thing that's really weird is like when you look actually here's the funny thing, and this is gonna be funny. All of the post-decade or decade and on villains, outside of I would say like Drive, like their villains like just have like either the most ludicrous ideas or they just like are executed poorly. Like the Sonozaki family, they're like a great crime family, but then nothing really pays off because they try to kill each other. Like the one daughter's trying to kill off the rest of the family.
Wheels
What?
think about they're doing the one thing that most gangsters and crime families don't do, shouldn't be doing. It's
Yeah.
rule number 1 when you're dealing with stuff, especially with quote unquote drugs like
Yeah, you don't fight the
drug-like
family.
merchandise. No, not that.
Oh yeah, you don't take
try your own
yes,
merchandise.
you don't try your own merchandise. That's true. You don't try your own merchandise. You don't go against the family. But they literally had a civil war. What would you call it? Would it be a cold civil war in a sense? They had actually like with the family, they were trying to underhand each other in like other ways than actually like facing each other off physically and shit.
It's a cold war within the family.
Yeah. You literally have O's where it's like like the payoff isn't good. You had Forze where it was like I need to destroy the world, but all I needed was really friends.
No, all he wanted to do was meet the aliens.
Yeah, he wanted to meet the aliens because humans are so shit. I mean, he's not wrong, but still.
I mean, like he's got little. Oh my God, Forze is propaganda against Ultraman.
Oh God.
What are you talking about? He should be Forza should be meeting Ultraman and making friends.
No. The villains are pop
that's
shots at
true.
Ultraman. Humanity's flawed, where Ultramen come back to Earth because they think there's something in humanity that needs to be protected.
Oh yeah.
True.
Then you have Wizard, where the payoff is garbage. Gaim's payoff was sort of garbage, but I love the show anyways.
It's okay. He became
Baron
a
was
space
a
god.
terrible-
Yeah, Baron
he
is a
earned it.
terrible villain. Baron's a terrible villain. Michi was a good villain. Freaking Sid was an alright villain, and so was freaking Duke. I was like,
Sid was alright till he died.
yeah, till he died. I think you missed that part where we said he became hepatitis.
Yeah, hepatitis.
Yeah. No, you were here when we made the hepatitis joke, but yeah.
I was.
But was he really here? is the
No, he was
question.
here. He was here.
Physically.
Oh, he's the one.
I mean, he had been in the astral realm talking to Miles Morales.
4 jokes. My God.
Jesus
We're
Christ.
going for broke here.
We're going for broke. This is episode 15. We have to do this.
I've been hanging out with Doctor Strange, Miles Morales, and I don't know who's a third. You know what? Chris Hemsworth.
But yeah, no, it's ludicrous. Like actually no, even Kiva's villains were kind of ludicrous. So it's like, no, oh my God, everything since Deno or on has been like the most ludicrous. Oh man.
No, Kabuto, man. Kabuto had some ludicrous villains.
Depends. The worm were Well.
The threat of the worms was a real thing, but like I think the end game was where it was kind of what the fuck.
It got weird because there's no main boss.
Yeah.
It's like it was that guy, the assistant. I thought it would be like, Gatak's dad, but nope, he's actually a good guy. Or
Yeah, like if you think about it, most of the Heisei era has like some of the most flawed endings ever.
The most flawed poorly executed
Yeah.
bad guys, or at least,
Yeah.
or something inherently wrong with how they wrote the bad guys.
Yeah, so it's like, man, if you look at Rider, there's just an entire day where we can just come back to the story and just focus on a really bad villain each time.
Each episode, we talk. Oh my God, we should do that. Villain Wednesdays.
Villain Wednesdays.
Yeah.
We don't record on Wednesdays.
I don't know.
We'd have to make a live. We'd have to make a live show and then do it like
We'll have
that.
to call this Shitty Saturday.
Shit.
We'll do it on Invisible Ninja's live.
Oh jeez. We'll hijack his show. We'll just hijack his show.
We'll invade his show.
Because we're Los Ingobernables de Tokusatsu.
Oh, one more. If we think Rider villains are better, wait till we get to Sentai.
Oh God.
That'll be another episode on its own.
That's another episode. Just said worst villain ideas, Sentai. But nevertheless, we have to wrap up this show because we're pretty much already hitting the freaking leeway mark of 1 hour and 20 minutes. But I'll probably have cut it down for 105 or some ludicrous shit like that because that's what I do.
Depends. If Miles Morales shows up at your house, you're screwed.
Five.
Oh man.
Can you dig that? Sucker.
Man, we're actually making more use of Miles Morales than Marvel is.
Oh God, that's six.
Miles Morales would only be worthwhile if Donald Glover actually played him, but it's too late now for him.
It's too late.
I don't know if that's a pop shot at Miles or a pop shot at Donald Glover. I'll put that in the 6.5.
Hey man, childish Gambino, man. His music's fantastic.
Miles Morales isn't good enough to be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe apparently, so they had to make Peter Parker have his friend.
Or they had to age him back to high school.
Oh Christ. Anyways, any goddamn ways, we're gonna wrap up this show this week. You've heard Project, you've heard Janitor Joker, you've heard yours truly Wheelchair 21. For Hero Club, you can find us here on YouTube. You can check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and don't forget our actual social links are either in the description below, or you can just click on over to the Hero Club website, go to the About page, and you'll find where to follow us at individually. We'll see you next week or in a week and a half. I don't know. We might take a hiatus after this because we hit the 15 mark. We might take just a short break. I don't know yet. But if we do return to be usual weekly schedule, we don't even know what we're doing because 15 was like our big. Oh jeez.
You mean we're gonna get canceled, right? Is that what we're stopping?
We didn't make the Bill Cosby joke yet.
Yeah, we didn't make enough Bill Cosby jokes yet to be picked up by the FCC, so no. So we're not getting canceled yet.
Don't worry.
Don't worry.
I'm not afraid of him because I cover my drink with a napkin.
But man, he can shoot that. He can shoot those pills like Steph Curry, man. He can shoot them from long distance.
But yeah, the last thing before we finally end up, like I said, we were kind of talking about after 15 take a small break, but we might not. We don't know. It all depends. But we'll hopefully maybe see you next week or in 2 weeks from now.
He means we're fucking canceled.
Like Miles Morales should be.
Hey, it's Wheelchair 21, and thanks again for listening to an all-new episode of Los Ingobernables de Tokusatsu. If you want to hear more content or see more content from the Hero Club YouTube channel, we're going to need you to subscribe, like, comment with some feedback, and share this channel with a friend. We also would like you to check out our website, hero-club.com, and follow us on various social media outlets, just by looking up Hero Club for Life, as well as the stores you see are where we shop. Anyways, thanks again, and we'll see you all next time.